Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for following me and thank you so much for your support. We are really glad you love the videos and you support the channel.
Bonsai Dream.
So today I'm here with this beautiful Taxus from Japan. It's a Nigata Taxus, so it's from the colder north part of Japan. Is slightly different from Taxus cuspidata. It has finer foliage with thinner leaves and is a type of tree that loves cold. So it's doing very well in my place here in Feltre. We have very cold winter. They don't like too much warm weather. They love more coldish weather to really thrive. I had this tree for probably the last 6 or 7 years. Was in shape, but it got a little bit weak, so I let it grow for the last 2 seasons, and now it's time to rework on the tree. The tree has a beautiful trunk with a lot of interesting detail, but as you can see now, with all the new foliage, the green overgrow on top of the trunk, and we can't even see the potential of the tree. So what I'm gonna do, I wanna reselect some branches, probably cut away some of the structural branches to open up some negative spaces and see the beautiful movement, the beautiful shari and the liveline that this tree has. So we're gonna start with the selection of the foliage and then keep up with the work, cleaning the deadwood, the liveline, and at the end, wiring and styling the pad. Enjoy this episode. I have this branch that grew too much and it crossed in front of the trunk. So this branch definitely has to go. You can see already nice movement. Here also I have too much green. There are branches flopping down, looking for light. So I need to reselect and open up this area here. I have another nice band here, and still this branch in the front is too big, and I have a lot of foliage in the inner part I can reuse. So I wanna remove this section. I can transform this part, this branch in a gin, like I have other, and then I can move this branch in this position to create a pad and also a little bit create a distraction for this section that is a little bit straight. Now I want to see if I can also reduce some foliage here by cutting this branch and then moving the other one. In the other side we have nice branches here. I need a very good first pad that can be done by this branch here. And I have another branch starting in the same place. I still want to see if it's worth to use it, but probably these branches both are way too long and they are covering the base of the tree, so I can go through and easily remove them to create a nice pads with this one. Another branch is here, so same story. Keep a gin and remove, so I can do, you know, pads here, and then I have this branch that is a good branch to create a nice background from the main base, so I can use this as a nice pad in the back part of the tree, so I can focus the attention of the observer to the base and doesn't allow my eyes to go through all the way, but it creates a beautiful green background. There is still some small pruning to do, but that will be done while we're gonna wire and start setting the pads. So now that the selection is done, we can go through and clean the trunk, clean the liveline, and protect all the beautiful dead wood with lime sulfur. Differently from Taxus cuspidata, Taxus niigata doesn't have the capacity of a reselect live line. As you can see here, we are cleaning a part of an old live line that died back along the years. Probably a work of live line reselection was done and the tree didn't like it too much, so it lost the back live line. We have to clean the old bark to not risk that the dead wood will start rotting. At the level of the nebari, it's very important to clean all the parts that are touching the dead wood, so the dead wood can stay a little bit higher from the soil level, and doing that we can try to preserve it as long as possible. Otherwise the roots will start growing inside of the dead wood, and in time we're gonna lose it because it's gonna be rotted. So we need to clean very well, and then with the lime sulfur and the wood hardener protect all these areas that are in contact with the soil, and also every time when we water they get moistured and they can rot away. Now that the old dead wood is cleaned, we can create the new gin. So we remove the old wire from those lines, and then we remove the bark and create new lines on this part that we select. It's now time to clean the upper frontal gin. That was a branch that grew too much, and it was too much green for the front of the tree. We want to open up that area, but still be able to use that gin as an interesting focus point for the future design of this Taxus. We break all the fibers, creating nice and natural tips using a gin plier. This is important to do when the wood is still green, so the fiber can stretch nicely and we can obtain a natural result. Now that we just finished the work on the deadwood, just before putting lime sulfur on the deadwood to protect it, we just take a few time and clean all the foliage from branches that are dead, inner branches that died because of lack of light, so we can have everything ready for the wiring. The guys side by side, they work just opening gently the branches and cutting away everything they find that is dead and obviously not useful for the final shape of the tree. I want to take some time to add more depth to the frontal deadwood. So I use my tool and I carve some more deeper lines inside some areas, so can give some more depth to certain part of the deadwood, and doing that the deadwood can become more dynamic. This tool is very useful for that operation, digging inside and stretching the fibers. I don't want to do that with the electrical carving tool, but this will help me just remove small portions of that wood and create a little bit more drama in the base part of the tree. Now that the lower part of the tree is completely wired, I can start setting the pads. So I lift up the upper branches and I start aligning the lower long ones to create the first part and the base of my pad. If I have some inner line, I can use them for volume, and the outside they can be used to create the base for my pad. The vegetation on Taxus Nigata is very thin, so I need to be careful when I manage either the wiring and also the positioning. I create my line and I always try to clean the underlines as I do for junipers. It's important on Taxus that the first flash after styling we allowed the tree to develop so the branches can set in position, and then before summer we can do a pruning session on the tree and doing that we can remove the strength and the energy in the upper part, but in the meantime the branches that were allowed to grow, they can set the position. If we don't let the tree grow and then eventually we unwire too early, we risk that the branches, especially the lower one, they will tend to flop down because they don't have strength and they don't have much of a self-support. This is another important tip on working Taxus. So you see, I align the branches and I create a volume using the inner one. On the lower branch, I try to prune less as possible. For what I said, I want to allow the tree to grow. Probably on the upper part of the tree, that is also the stronger one, I will have to prune more to control the strength of the tree, because naturally is always the part that tend to have more apical dominance and the branches get already stronger by themselves. So when I create the first line here, I move already up and I want to create a second line starting higher in this position and go all the way towards the front. There is a lot of foliage to manage, but we need to be gentle enough to create a nice and clean pad. And again, if something go out of shape, we can clean it. We need to be able to create a nice platform to then build the volumes of the pads. I always start styling the trees from the first pad. So I set this line and then the lower one, and then kind of on a triangle shape went up here. Now, having this interesting negative space with the beautiful movement on the lower part of the trunk that we try to highlight by creating more lines, I have to put a pad. That's the reason why I kept this longer branch. I have to put a pad in the back to create depth and create a nice background for this focal point. So now, as I select and shape the first pad, I start opening up the branches here, and I want to create a line a little bit lower than the line of the first pad, just to stop the observer eyes and focus to the deadwood. As always, I start from one side of the pad. I lift up the inner branches, and I use the longer leggy branches to create my line. So open up everything. If it's necessary, I can prune some branches when I find spots with 3 branches coming out from the same point. I prune one, and then I keep going around and building the structure of my pad. As I always say on my video, I always refer aesthetically when I create the line of the pad like a hand, so the structure go down and open up like a fence. Totally different from when I style the cedar tree. Keep going around, push together a little bit structure. I don't want secondary branches to go away one from the other too much. I want them to almost follow a same line, so the flow on the pad is more realistic, like the branch went down and slowly the little branches open up to have good light and access to good light. And then as for the other pads, I use inner finer branches to create the volume. So I just work on this frontal pad here to start moving a little bit the frontal dynamism of the green masses. What I want to do now is push down this gin with a guide wire, so I can create a nice line in a lower position. Is a branch that I cut away. It was unnecessary and I kept as a gin. So I want to move it down, move away this branch here, and then secure with a guide wire here. So when the branch will dry, I can have the gin in the position I want. And now I can also move inside this pad and start building a pad in this position. So I will put I probably don't need another guide wire, but I need to just push inside the green. I have a wire here, and then I can frame the upper part with this side branch here. At this point, I'm working at the back of the tree. You see, I'm framing here with some pads. Already create a nice pad in this position to show depth from the front. This is very important. And now I keep going up my way to create all this section. This section will be more dense, is in the back. I don't need to make too many layers as I do in the front of the tree, but it's still important to dress the tree and create foliage mass. So here we are just finishing the back part of the tree. You see how important are these pads, good lines coming out in the back part of the trunk and creating depth, first of all, and second, they are creating a background to focus in the different details of the trunk, the beautiful gene, the movement of the line here, live line and the trunk, and then you can see the nice geometrical line creating depth. I went through and I finished framing also the right side of the tree. You know, this section that is giving me the line to go up to the apex, that will be my next project. And then I did already this frontal pad. So this line and this line, they are creating kind of a visual cone, focusing the attention of the observer in the part that I want to show off of the trunk, this curve here and the beautiful deadwood with the gin. So now we can focus on finish wiring the top and creating my dome. And here we are with this beautiful Nigata Taxus. Lot of beautiful lines, pads, volumes, nice movement of the trunk, and I think we was able to highlight the potential of the tree with all the positioning on the pads. Also getting rid of a lot of foliage. We still have a lot of great maturity, and now the tree can fill a little bit more the spaces. There is a lot of strength. In spring we're gonna repot this tree in a smaller container to be more proportionate and even more lift up visually the beautiful trunk and the beautiful movement. I will say that this Taxus has almost like the shape of a juniper. It's very particular. I love especially this type of Taxus that has a very fine foliage and is possible to create and to design beautiful geometrical line. I love that in this particular species. So for today, the work is done. I'm very happy. I hope you enjoy this episode. See you at the next. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you like it. And if you want to know more about my work, send me an email to get my bonsai book, Bonsai Dream. Thank you.